international organizations. She is also chair in the Judiciary Committee of the Subcommittee on Crime, Homeland Security, and Terrorism. So we are now, after 8 years of fighting and toiling, we are in the majority in the House, and we are taking those gavels and speaking truth to power in terms of putting forward an agenda for our people. I mentioned she's chair of CBC. CBC is the largest and most powerful congressional Black caucus in history. We have 55 members, 2 in the Senate who are also running for president, and 53 in the House. So we have 5 full committee gavels. We have oversight. You have Elijah Cummings actually giving this president the oversight that he should have had for the first 2 years. You have Bobby Scott, head of Ed and Labor. I know you all are pushing paid family leave. Like that is in his committee, and you have him as the chair of that full committee. You have Maxine Waters over, I know I was gonna get some support there. Maxine Waters over financial services, and I cannot wait until they put out the subpoena. I think she is actually, yes, the first woman, first African-American woman to chair that committee, and she is going after Donald Trump's financial records, and I am here for it. You have Benny Thompson over Homeland Security taking Kirsten Nielsen to task on why these babies are in cages. I know that a lot of time people think that immigration is not a Black issue. It absolutely is, and I'm here to tell you that the very first case that we heard of a family being separated was actually a woman from the Congo. She made her way to Mexico, came up through that desert with her 7-year-old daughter, and was separated from her. That was the first case a year before anyone was talking about separated families. And the CBC knew that, and we were taking DHS to task, and now we have Benny Thompson with that gavel. Lastly, we have Eddie Bernice Johnson. She's chair of the Science, Technology, and Space Committee. And so I know she's doing great work in terms of automation and what it's going to do to our communities in terms of displacement in the workforce. So just a little bit, because I do want to open it up if there are any questions while we have time. A lot of people ask, what is the CBC agenda? And it's kind of a funny question because it's 55 members. You know, it's like asking, like, you know, what does CBC feel like on any random issue, right? Like, the power is in us coalescing around what we can all agree upon. And I think the beautiful thing that we have this year is that CBC's agenda is not just for Black people, right? CBC's agenda is becoming a part of the Democratic agenda writ large. And that means that we have more friends than foes. So everyone would expect that voting rights is a part of the CBC agenda. Well, we also have 20 subcommittee chairs, and one of them is Marcia Fudge, who is taking her gavel to crisscross the country and build the record of voter suppression that we all know is going on, continues to go on, so that we can finally restore the Voting Rights Act. Criminal justice is obviously one of our CBC agendas, but it also is something that President Trump, who we never would have thought, signed into law. We were able to pass the First Step Act. It's going to release thousands of people from jail early. It is going to stamp out some of the mandatory minimums that put them in jail for too long in the first place. And as we said, it is a first step. So what the CBC is looking at, what Jerry Nadler is looking at, what my boss is looking at as chair of the crime subcommittee, what criminal justice goes through, we are looking at the second step and the third step and the fourth step, because you can't talk about fixing criminal justice unless you've talked about policing reform. You can't say that you fixed it unless you talk about bail reform. You can't say that you fixed it unless you talk about the collateral consequences on the back end, so that once you've paid your debt to society, you're able to get a Pell Grant so that you can get educated. You're able to get housing so that you're not worried about where you're gonna lay your head at night, so that you can focus on a job because we've banned the box. So criminal justice is a part of it, and I will just say this because it's something that our CBC membership is particularly interested in this Congress. It's Black wealth. it's not just about making sure that we have, you know, a minimum wage for the least of us. It's about making sure that if you have made it out of kind of public assistance, but you're still living paycheck to paycheck, which many federal workers are, and I think that the government shutdown brought that to light when people started missing that paycheck, and it was like, wait a minute, I don't have savings. I can't just, you know, have a garage sale, as, you know, some have suggested, and everything is cool now. People are living paycheck to paycheck, and what we should be doing is building wealth in our communities, and that means tackling home ownership. That means talking about kind of broader education issues in terms of student loan debt, and that student loan debt getting us a good job but keeping us out of the home ownership market. That's about making sure that we have the tools that we need so that if you want to go into business for yourself and use that as a means of wealth creation, you have the resources to do so. So with that, I'm just going to mention a couple of things in terms of the Democratic agenda, things that you all should know about since we now have the gavels and we now control the agenda on the floor. When we return from this recess, next week we'll be looking at paycheck fairness. That bill will be on the floor, it will pass, and it will be in Women's History Month. The next week, the first week of April, the Violence Against Women Act will be on the floor. We just recently reintroduced that bill with upgrades because there are a lot of gaps that were not filled. One, for example, is dating violence. You know, you cannot have a gun if you threaten your wife and the police know about it. But if you're dating someone and you're threatening them, you can. Like, there are huge gaps in that law that have to be filled, and we can't just have another short-term reauthorization that kicks the can. We need these protections because, as we know, as Black women, we are victims and we are often not heard. So this is a really important monumental bill that will go through the House, but we certainly need support on the outside to get it through the Senate. And then we'll be moving to net neutrality. So these are the bills that are coming up in the House, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. But I just want to thank you for the work that you do. The CBC is going to be crisscrossing the country, and if we're going to be in your community, we certainly want you to know so that you can turn out and have your membership meeting directly with the CBC members. So thank you for being here, and thank you for having me. So if you want to keep in touch with the CBC, we have a newsletter. Please go to our website, cbc.house.gov. Sign up. We'll be putting out information, and we would love for you to have it.
All right. Thank you. Can we give Karen Street a round of thank you, thank you, thank you. We're going to let y'all eat. Y'all right with that? So the young ladies can sit. Our girls can go sit and eat. Yeah, we're not going to do this right this second. Yeah, so they can go sit and eat. And we're going to make sure, I don't know if they've started. And I want to say that for those who just got here, we prayed over the food and stuff earlier. But if you feel compelled, because I'm just realizing some people aren't eating, that we started, this is like a continuation of the day. Where's Trudy? Yeah, could you just come up, Trudy, just do a quick blessing for us? Trudy Lucas, who is the Religious Affairs Director for the National Action Network, who's here from the great state of South Carolina. If you just come give us a quick word of prayer. Interfaith, ecumenically, is that what it is?
Amen. Let us bow. Heavenly Father, it's once again, we thank you for the opportunity to gather in this space at this time. We ask that you bless everything going forward, everything that we've done, everything that we've seen, everything that we will continue to hear. We ask that you do it all in your name. Lord, please bless the partakers of this food, bless the hands that prepared it, that it may be nourishment to our bodies. Lord, all these and all other blessings we do ask in your name, and we say, amen.
How's it going? How's everybody? My granddaddy used to say, "How goes it?" So, if it's all right with you all, everyone been served? Everyone been served? Okay. So we're gonna ask you all to quietly as you can. I know that's not easy when you're dealing with silverware. Quietly as you can, just try to eat, and we're going to move the program along so we can make sure that we have a lot of folks who have flights, tight schedules, folks who are our guests and speakers. So we want to make sure that we end this on time. Is that all right? I wanted to take a note of thank you again to our sponsors. And a few of our sponsors are actually also on panels. And I'm going to ask that they just bring remarks as they're talking. I want to, and one sister who I'm looking at here, Becky Pringle. Would you please stand, Becky, who's the Vice President of the National Education Association. Becky, Miss Becky, who is also a board member. And while I have her standing with all the board members of the National Coalition on Black Civic Participation, that's who writes my check, right? Who allowed me to wear these two hats. I ask all our board members to please stand. Robin Williams of UFCW, Cora Masters-Berry, Dr. Avis Jones-DeReaver, Solandra Benton, Felicia Davis, Dr. Elsie Scott. Have I missed anybody else? Oh, and Diane Babineau. Thank you all. And so the National Coalition, remember, is the national organization. We are nearly 45 years old. Started in '76. People think I founded Black Women's Roundtable. I did not. I'll tell you who founded Black Women's Roundtable while I'm here, where I got Dr. Janetta Cole in the room, Dr. Dorothy Irene Height, Gracia Hillman, and sisters who were here in the 1980s. Felicia know what I'm talking about, and some others in this room. Actually started the Black Women's Roundtable in 1986, I believe I'm correct. And it was done that way. So during the time, Carol Jenkins in here somewhere, when we were dealing with the Equal Rights Amendment back then, and having the need to show that we needed our own table, because just like many times right now, unfortunately, sometimes even we go to this quote-unquote broader women's table that's made of other, primarily white women, and this is just no disparaging, just the facts. Sometimes it's hard to break through. And so she started the Black Women's Roundtable, and Sonia Jarvis, who was one of my predecessors, led that as well, who also led the coalition. The coalition's had 4 leaders, and 3 of the 4 have been Black women. Gracia Hillman was the founding executive director. Following her was Sonia Jarvis, Esquire. I don't know if Sonia's made it in the room. And she used to be the president of the Black Women's Agenda, for those who know that organization. And then we had the person who hired me for 18 months, Cora. I was going to be here for 18 months, and well, that's a whole other story. I've been here 20 years now as his deputy, and God found a reason. And I look at Cora because she knows the backstory why I'm still here, and I'm just going to thank her for that. We're going to deviate. We're going to lift up the Coca-Cola Company, AARP, AT&T, and Verizon, who have been longstanding supporters of us in the corporate space. I want to lift up and ask, I think SCIU has someone who's going to come up, who has been Jerry Hudson is the board member, who sits on the board of SCIU. And they are in the house. And so I asked my sister, who's a leader inside of SAIU, to come up and bring greetings on behalf of Service Employees International Union. And while she's up, I want to also thank Robin Williams, again with UFCW, also who helped sponsor the conference this year.
Good afternoon. My name is Joey Combs. I am an active member with the Metro Detroit chapter of the Black Women's Roundtable. I also have the honor of serving as the first Black president of SEIU Local 517M. I represent 8,000 members between 110 public employee contracts. Today, I bring you greetings on behalf of the Service Employees International Union, the most progressive, outstanding, member-led organization in the United States. We represent nearly 2,000 members in the United States, Canada, and Puerto Rico. Thank you for having us.
Okay. Thank you, thank you. We're going to also shift a little bit. We have some very, very special guests, along with all the special guests in the room. But when you're under 18, you're extra special as far as I'm concerned. And we got some really we got a really special treat for you too, actually. But we're going to start with some younger ones from the city, from Washington, D.C. Cora Masters-Berry, who is CEO of the Southeast Tennis and Learning Center and the former First Lady of the District of Columbia, and a board member and my mentor, who I can go sit and rock on her chair anytime I want, and who is honestly a core reason why I'm still here, and keeps me sane, and just says, okay, you through complaining now? Let's get this done. Cora, I love you. Thank you. Come on up and introduce our special jewels in the house with Blacks in Wax, and any inspirational words you'd like to share.
Thank you, Melanie. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Oh, that's a little better. I'm very happy to be here. I love Melanie Campbell. She's one of my sister friends, daughters, nieces. I don't know what else. I just came by to say congratulations. I love the fact that there are sisters and younger sisters here. She asked me to give a few words of inspiration, and all I can say is that my profession, actually, for many, many years, was that I was a political science professor at the University of the District of Columbia. I'll give them a hand. I married Marion Barry and became the First Lady of the District of Columbia. Give him a hand. And through many reasons, I segue into being the CEO of a nonprofit that deals with young people in our city in a very creative way. And so I want to say what inspires me and motivates me every day are the things that they overcome. And one of the things that really makes my chest stick out is that these kids come from Ward 8. If you're not from Washington, D.C., you can say Harlem or South Chicago or South Central LA or wherever the areas where they call it underserved. These are the most dynamic, bright children, and the things that they do are unmatched by any other group. So, I want to introduce you to them before you come up. Just hold up. We started a thing many, many years ago because beyond and above being a political science professor, I'm also an activist, love Black history, and love my people. So when I moved into the CEO thing and dealing with all these children, I said, well, that's no reason why they can't understand their history. So I tried for a couple of years to get them to listen to me about Black History Month. I put up videos. Look, they weren't listening. So one year I said, well, why don't we just do a little play? Maybe they'll understand better. So make a long story short, we did a little play. They enjoyed it. It was in the library of this fabulous $50 million facility. You're welcome to come. And from there, they now appear annually at the Kennedy Center. And in doing that, this program not only teaches them history, it not only inspires and educates and entertains the public, but it does something in terms of what they become. They start off, and there's nobody in this room can do what they're about to do. They start off by saying, I can't do this, I won't do this, I don't know how to do this, I will never do that. to standing in front of thousands of people. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you the people from Southeast Tennessee Learning Center, the characters of Blacks and Wax. I'm going to do them one by one. It's okay. Y'all stay there. The first person I'm going to introduce you to, y'all just stay right there. Is someone whose name Melody just called a few minutes ago, and I'm going to let her take it from there. Just go center stage. You can go.
I suppose I was one of the lucky ones. When I moved from my birthplace of Richmond, Virginia to Pennsylvania, I was able to attend integrated schools. I did my best to excel and became quite an orator, which gave me the opportunity to go straight to college on scholarship. Well, not exactly straight to college. You see, although accepted to Barnard College in New York, I wasn't allowed to attend. They informed me that they had reached their quota of Negro students, so I applied and was accepted to New York University. Already an activist, I became involved with the National Council of Negro Women. After meeting Mary McLeod Bethune, I knew this was home for me. On that fall day, the redoubtable Mary McLeod Bethune put her hand on me. I remember how she made her fingers into a fist to illustrate the women, the significance, to bring people together to eliminate injustice. The gates are half ajar, she said. We must fully pry them open. NCNW led me further into the civil rights movement. I helped organize the 1963 March on Washington, working side by side with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I was the woman at the forefront of this work and had to stand strong among the men. I continued the fight for women's rights, petitioning and advising our U.S. presidents while standing up for our families. I've always known that the Black family of the future will foster our liberation, enhance our self-esteem, and shape our ideals and goals. I am Dorothy Irene Height.
Yes.
Wonderful. Isn't that amazing? Our theme this year is Young, Gifted, and Woke. And I was telling Dr. Cole that it's not only about what some of the young people are doing now, but some of our icons, what they did when they were younger. So that is an example of the young Dr. Height. And now we would like to introduce to you someone who is doing it every day right now. You had the pleasure of hearing her a couple of days ago. I'd like to introduce you to Mrs. Tamika Mallory.
There are many people who want to define women and rewrite our stories. But it is important that we define ourselves for ourselves. I was born in Harlem, New York City in the 1980s when the crack epidemic tore through our communities and destroyed our families. My mother and father steered our family the best way that they could, utilizing the Black freedom movement as our only source of survival. I joined this movement because I believe that for once, there's a real possibility of protecting young girls who look like me, young girls who are living with my circumstances, not in 1980, but in 2019. In 1851, Sojourner Truth asked the question, ain't I a woman? Today we ask a new question. The new question must be, intersectionality for who? I ask this question as a Black woman who mourns the loss of 7-year-old Jasmine Barnes, who was killed in a gunfight that had nothing to do with her. I ask this question because 7-year-old Jacqueline Cow died at the border from dehydration. To all my sisters, I see you. To my Muslim sisters, I see you. To my Latina sisters, I see you. To my Asian sisters, I see you. To my disabled sisters, I see you. And to my Jewish sisters, do not let anyone tell you who I am. I see all of you. I see you and I hear your pain. Whether you are a doctor, a sex worker, or one of the 800,000 furloughed workers who have not received their paychecks, I see you. And to my black sisters, I feel you deep down in my bones and in my soul. My back is up straight. I will not bow. I will not break. I am who I am for over 20 years in no media outlet. And no one else will tell you, I'm telling you. I love all people, and no one will define for me who I am. Only I can do that. God bless you. Go in peace.
And finally, we have sisters who are doing it. They wrote a book for colored girls who considered politics. One of the main ones is a sister who's a preacher, came from a preaching family, and who headed up the Democratic Convention for Obama and Hillary. I introduce to you Miss Leah Daughtry.
Politics, activism. The call to serve was as natural as wearing a natural in the 1970s. I was just 6 years old when I first met Reverend Jesse Jackson, who appeared just really tall, so tall. But then again, I was so small, and from my vantage point, he was a giant. My father, Reverend Herbert Daughtry, was a devoted civil rights activist who worked with Reverend Jackson on Operation Breadbasket. My earliest memories of activism were with my dad and Reverend Jackson, who'd come to town to lead a boycott of the A&P supermarkets because they didn't hire black people. The headquarters of our activism was our church, the House of the Lord, where regular visitors included well-known activists like Stokely Carmichael, Maulana Ron Karinga, Amiri Baraka, Betty Shabazz, Ozzie Davis, and Ruby Dee. And the list goes on. My cultural background was solid, so when I went to college, I chose a white university, Dartmouth, so I could work on the inside and bring the outside with me, by bringing the outside information they needed for the inside. My history lies on these things, where job after job, I become more involved in politics, from working with Congressman Ed Towns, the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, the Democratic National Committee as a staff assistant, the Department of Labor, and back to the DNC as a chief executive officer for both Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton's convention, all while rocking some of my favorite boots. I am Leah Daughtry, and I'm proud to be a colored girl who considers politics. I'm Melanie Campbell, and I have a question for all of you here today. Why do we march? We march to declare we are America, declaring we are ready for the fight. We march in memory of our sister ancestors, Dr. Dorothy I. Hyatt, Dr. C. Dolores Tucker, Congresswoman Shirley Chisholm, Willie Barrow, Evelyn Lowry, Fannie Lou Hamer, and Sojourner Truth. Why do we march? We march to protect Obamacare, Medicare, and Social Security for our seniors, Medicaid for our people living in poverty. And we march for the human right to control our own bodies. We march for the human right to live. We march to send a message to the White House, Congress, state, and local politicians. We are united, and we will not be moved.
take a bow, take a bow. Go up and take a bow. What y'all think about my Ward 8 kids? If you want to see the full show, Saturday at the Kennedy Center at 5 o'clock.
Got me, Cora. You did. Oh, can we please just stand up one more time? One more time. Everybody stand. Now that's called teaching the babies. And the babies teaching us. Thank you, thank you. And Jemiah, girl, you did it again. And she portrayed me last year. And we stayed connected, but we're going to get even more connected this year. I promise you that. And thank you. Thank you. A little bit girl, baby girl. Thank you. We're going to move into our first panel. And this is how we're going to do this. We have two panels. And in between the panels, we have another treat for you with our girls. Where's our girl power team? Just wave. Who have a treat for you coming up as well. This whole lunch plenary has always been about, and this whole effort. And I think, and I want to ask all of the Black Women's Roundtable affiliate leaders and state partners to just stand up. So from Alabama, Sheila Tyson, Letitia Daniels Jackson. From Georgia, Helen Butler, Felicia Davis, Deborah Scott, Latasha Brown. From Ohio, P.D. Talley, Angela Woodson. From Florida, Solange Benton, Sheena Mead. Michigan, we got Stephanie Moore, Tamika Ramsey. I missed the state. Pittsburgh is absentia, Reverend Dr. Judith Moore, but where's her team? If they're still here, wave Pittsburgh in the house. Have I missed the state? How am I miss Mississippi? Mississippi, and let me tell you, now Cassandra Wilson, where you at? Cassandra Wilson, where she at? I can't see because of the light. She here. But she went home and came back in 24 hours to come back to be here to finish out. So we want to lift her up because that's a lot. That's a lot of flying. That's a lot of flying. In West North Carolina, Wanda Hunter, Aaron Bird, Dr. Savage, our other sister that's working. I'm missing somebody? Okay, in North Carolina in the house. And so this is who I work for the Black Women's Roundtable. Y'all, I can't ever stop thanking y'all for what y'all do. You do it all the time. And we're together as a sister team, sisters, not just for the work, but to make sure that we love on each other to get through this journey we're all in. So we're going to move right to the first panel, and that is the Black Women in Education, Labor, Political, and Social Justice Leadership. And that's going to be moderated by Dr. Elsie Scott, who is the interim president and CEO of the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation. She is on the board as the secretary of the board of the National Coalition. She is also an active member of the Black Women's Roundtable and really helps us with our research and so much, much more. And she has a whole lot of things that she continues to do. And we thank her that she keeps us on her list of priorities. And I appreciate you, Elsie. And you can introduce the panel.
Thank you, Mel. Good afternoon, everybody. We ask our panel members to join us here on the stage, please. We'll introduce you after you come up. If I sit down, yeah, but I don't think I'm going to sit. Do we have enough chairs for everybody? If I sit down, I think I'm going to stand. Okay, we have everybody. Does everybody have a mic?
We can share, we'll share.
This one is working. Okay, we have a very distinguished panel today. If I have everybody. Trying to see who's here. I got to check everybody off. Okay, we have Becky Pringle, Vice President of the National Education Association. Seated beside her, we have Robin Williams, Executive Vice President and Director of Civil Rights and Community Actions for UFCW. Then we have Honorable Stephanie Moore, Convener of the Kalamazoo, Michigan Black Youth Vote and Commissioner of the Kalamazoo County Commission. And we have Carol Jenkins. Carol Jenkins is the co-president of ERA Coalition Fund for Women's Equality. Now, is the Honorable Karen Camper in the room? She was supposed to be joining us. Okay, well, we'll get started. Oh, and how did I forget? My leader. I was so busy trying to recognize people I didn't know and saving her for last till I ended up not introducing her. Dr. Johnetta Cole. Dr. Cole presently serves as the chair and president of the National Council of Negro Women, and she's done a lot of other things. As all of these women up here today, we have a short time, but what I want to do is to take our theme, because we want to have a little conversation. The theme is, it's our time to lead, rise, and shine. And so these ladies truly have been rising, shining, and leading throughout their careers. So what I want is each one to talk with us, share a little bit with the audience, for those who may not know you as well, about what have you done to demonstrate that you are a leader and you are leading people to rise and shine. We'll start with you, Carol.
Of course. Is our mic on here? Can you hear me? Let's see how we test it.
See anybody handling the mics in the back?
Hello, hello. Thanks so much. Thank you. And I'm actually a former reporter, so I say shame on me that I couldn't get the mic to work. Thank you so much. I am a huge fan of Mellie Campbell's and all of the work that's being done here. I was here Saturday night when all of these girls were being honored. I mean, it's such an extraordinary exception that young girls, young black girls, are given their due, and they certainly get it within the Black Women's Roundtable. So Melanie, thank you, and all of the members of the Roundtable for doing that excellent, excellent work. I am now, I am, have a few years on me here, so I've been through several iterations. Right now I'm running the ERA Coalition. And what we are doing, as I was talking with, some of my fellow panelists here, is saying that we actually are very, very close. The Equal Rights Amendment, if you haven't heard about it lately, was first presented in 1923. And all it is a amendment to the Constitution that says that women are equal to men. All it says is that we're not allowed to discriminate based on one sex. And it's taken almost 100 years to get it done. In the 70s and 80s, we fought this battle. Some of my friends may know about that. Well, in 2019, we are this close. We only need one more state. We need 38 states to ratify it. We're at 37. We came very close in Virginia, and we lost it by absolutely one vote. And that was one vote that separated equality for 166 million women in the United States. And it was hell. If anybody says to you, where are these important levers of power? Look to the chairs of committees who let bills out on the floor. And the same man who had held up the Equal Rights Amendment for many, many years did it again this year. So there is, that was Virginia. We still think Virginia is our strongest state. We think it will happen in 2020. And what will happen then is that then it will not only be just not nice to discriminate against women, it will be illegal. And that is what we are due. We're also working in, I say we cannot have generation after generation begging for equality. It doesn't make any sense. The time for this is now. So I've spent my career as a reporter, started the Women's Media Center because we were concerned about the inequality there, and now I'm concerned about the inequality that faces our young women. It breaks my heart when I have to say to them, we're telling you you can do anything and you can be anything, but in fact there are limitations. There's a pay equity. There's a lack of respect when you're sexually assaulted. There's a lack of respect in our society, and that comes from the fact that you are not part of the Constitution of the United States of America. So that if we're going to tell our girls they can be anything, we have to work to make sure that they are protected in the Constitution.
Thank you, Carol. It threw me off with your introduction because I knew Carol Jenkins. I had watched you on TV, but when they said that you were with the Equal Rights, and I said, well, maybe that's not the same person. Okay, Johnetta Cole, president of both of our historically Black colleges for women, and so many other things. Let's hear your take on our theme.
All right. Well, first, I would very much like to join my sister Carol in greeting Sister President Melanie Campbell. And I want to greet each of you, my sisters all. There's an African proverb that says something about what our sister Elsie has asked us to address, namely leadership. And how have each of us led? The proverb says this: if you define yourself as a leader, you're moving forward and nobody is with you, you're not a leader. You're taking a walk. So I want to begin by saying that this extraordinarily blessed life that I have had has not been about taking a walk. It's about being in collaboration with others in trying to reach a goal. I can't imagine how in the world I would ever describe the privilege, the joy, I would add the magic of serving as the president of the only 2 historically black colleges for women in the United States of America. And I'm going to have to now use another African proverb that tries to capture what this is all about. It says quite simply, when you educate a man, you educate a man. When you educate a woman, you educate a nation. So imagine what it was like to be in the position of contributing to the education of black women. I've often said that I had one challenge, a major one, and it was that I feared that one day, after being somewhere fundraising, because you know the definition of a college president is somebody who lives in a big house and begs for a living. I feared that I would come back to Spelman, or I would come back to Bennett, and on the top of one of the buildings would be these young black women, and they would be going like this. And that is because they believed what we told them, that they could fly. And so our challenge, my sisters, is that opportunity to have a quality education is not available to all of us. That's what we have to keep working on. Now let me say as succinctly as I can that I then had the extraordinary experience of serving as the director of the National Museum of African Art at the Smithsonian. I raised that, of course, because I believe in art. I believe you can live without it, but you won't live a very soulful and joyful life. But I also want to say that that experience allowed me to work with others to try to lift up where it is that we all come from. That is, if you're human. All human beings can trace themselves back to Africa. And we, as the most recent immigrants from that continent, have, I think, a particular responsibility to lobby in support of all that is good and just for the continent of Africa. Finally, now this is really hard to describe. It's hard to describe my current position because it's not a leadership position. It is something I'm called to do. I had the almost, well, not almost, I'll say the amazing and grace-filled privilege of knowing Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune. I was born in Florida. Dr. Bethune and my great-grandfather, whose name was Abraham Lincoln Lewis, were the closest of friends. In fact, when my great-grandfather, Abraham Lincoln Lewis, passed away, it was Dr. Bethune who gave the eulogy at his funeral. And when my mother would travel to Bethune-Cookman, then college, she would put me and my sister in the back of the car. She would go to see her closest girlfriends who taught there. If Dr. Bethune was in her office as a little girl, knee-high to a duck, I would have the opportunity to be in her office. Fast forward many years, while I would never say that I was in the most inner circle of those who had the privilege to work with the iconic Dr. Dorothy Irene Height, I was in one of those concentric circles out there. But I can tell you this, I was one of the many who she would call up. It didn't matter what time of night it was. And those of you who were on the list will remember that there was no time for exchanging of pleasantries. She got right to what she was calling you to do. And we all now remember that when she was done, she was done. There was no need to say, and goodbye, and I hope I see. She simply hung up the phone. So can you imagine what it is like now for me to try to be of service, which is what leadership ought to be defined as, being in service to others. Imagine what it's like for me to come into Washington, D.C., I now live in Florida, to come in once a month, to arrive at 633 Pennsylvania Avenue, the national headquarters of the National Council of Negro Women, the only property between the White House and the Capitol owned by black folk, specifically by black women. Because before Dr. Height went to glory, that mortgage was burned. So again, imagine, because it takes me to my knees, to walk into that office, the headquarters, to sit at the desk of Dr. Dorothy Irene Height. So I'm going to pass the mic. I'm not going to drop it. Although I wish I could say something that'll allow me to drop it. I'm going to pass the mic figuratively to my sister from Kalamazoo, where I have been a many a time, simply to bring closure on my comments by saying this. I believe that each of us as a black woman can and must lead. These are not ordinary times. And so for such a time as this, go on, my sisters, be the leaders you were called to be.
And Elsie, I just want to thank you for letting me go before the good doctor. And good luck to you down there. This woman has mesmerized me ever since I first laid eyes on her. Thank you so much for that sermon, Doctor.
Good afternoon.
First of all, I definitely want to give praise to my sister, my mentor, my sister, Melanie Campbell, because I actually came into this work through the National Coalition on Black Civic Participation, just a young little nappy-haired girl that didn't know what she was doing, and Melanie scooped me up, put me under her wing, and taught me the value of loving myself as a black woman. I come through Black You Vote, now through Black Women Roundtable. I've had the honor and the privilege to work with most of you and serve all of you, and Melanie, thank you for helping me to find that melanated spirit within me that helps me do the work that I do. I am from Kalamazoo, Michigan. I'm that little black pole girl from the other side of the railroad tracks. My mother was a crack addict. She lived in addiction for years through my adolescent years. By the grace of God, she celebrates 30 years of sobriety. And it's been living with her through her journey, which has given me my sense of self, my sense of resilience to be able to do what I do. And so basically the short of it is my nephew was racially profiled, arrested by the local police, and my family fought back. We advocated, but Melanie, what we learned is that unless we had a seat at the table, nothing real would change. We wanted real change and not chump change, Petey. So we went downtown. They said somebody has to go and serve in local office. This is nothing I had planned on or dreamed of ever going, but if you ever sit in a sister circle with the wise women, and when they call on you, you better answer and go. So in 2007, I ran for my first public office, and I won overwhelmingly to the Kalamazoo City Commission. Dorphine Payne, I served 4 elected terms to the Kalamazoo City Commission, and you know what I learned? The very first day I was there, I learned why black women, why urban neighborhoods, why black families had always been left behind off the agenda, because there was no one there to advocate for us, to speak up for us, to represent all of our hopes and our dreams and our visions for our families and our community. So I've never lost sight of that. Every single day I walk in that boardroom, looking good, smelling good, talking good. I'm talking about black women, families, communities, and what we deserve. Not what they want to give us, but the equity that we deserve in our communities. So as a policymaker, we know that everything that happens, it happens through policy. So being able to bring a voice of equity, a voice of reason to the table. And so I left the city commission, I ran for the county, and I'm serving my 3rd term as a county commissioner in Kalamazoo. And last year, I was the first African American to lead Kalamazoo County government. So that's a good thing. But in 2018, we should have been farther along. But let me tell you, just to wrap this up, Dr. Cheryl Dixon, one of the things I wanted to do is make sure we were just not passing resolutions just to be passing them. We were talking about Kalamazoo where black babies die 3 times of a higher rate as their white counterparts. We're talking about where black women don't have access to health care, to services. We were talking about jobs, employment, and it was more to than just saying, oh, I support this, that now my focus is on the policy, equity in policy, so that we can have the access and the opportunity to jobs, to health, the employment that we need to have successful communities. And so I created the Equity Task Force for Kalamazoo County government. Right now, for the first time, we are actually putting together a diversity and inclusion plan for local government. We have the Equity Task Force that our focus is on eliminating infant mortality, specifically around black babies. And for the first time ever in county government, we have a public defender's office. We have equity in our criminal justice system. And we got black women at the table, Attorney Dorphine Payne, that are leading this defender's office to make sure we got the best and the brightest defending the most vulnerable people in our community. So when we say representation matters, Leadership matters. These issues were not even on discussion before black women entered the room. And let me just say, I'm the only black woman in the room at the table. And so it's an honor, and I am unapologetically me. I have an unapologetically black woman's agenda, and I have an unapologetic black women's roundtable agenda where we're going to work with nonprofits and sisters all across our state to raise the voices of the concerns of black women that we graciously represent. So it has truly been an honor. I am a grandmother now, raising black boys and girls. And it's a privilege to see them, to be able to come to the table. And lastly, I want to say this to the young women that are in the room. It's okay every now and then to be behind the scenes and around the scenes, but I need you to show up. I need for you to come in the room. I need for you to sit at the table, sit at the feet of the wise women sometimes, and learn and be prepared, because this is the time right now where we as black women, we have to be vocal, informed, educated, and we got to teach those how to truly treat us so that we can have real equity and justice for all of us and our families. So time out for, oh, I just want to look good. No, baby. I need for you to be here in the room. Come to these workshops Melanie Campbell is giving us here, getting the tools and the techniques and the skills to lead, to pen policy. I would have never thought a poor girl with a drug-addicted mama would be penning my own policy. You hear me? You hear me? I come from the north side, and let me tell you, they look at me and they, oh, that's her, that's her. And sometimes I sit there, but Holly, one day they was bringing out the personnel policies and stuff. Child, I was all, I had red, black, and green markers going all the way back to Africa on them. So I'm going to pass the mic, but I'm telling you, this is our time. This is our season. This is the year of the black woman. This ain't no blue wave. This is a black woman wave. We showing up. We at the polls. We knocking doors. We turning out. This is our time for black woman. My sister Sheila Tyson in Birmingham, this is our time for black woman. All right now.
You know, I guess we can just say amen and go to our seats. And we have to come behind this. My sister said, I'm from the north side. Well, I'm from the northeast side of D.C. This is my home. And so I grew up in what they call now Trinidad, right here in D.C. So if anybody live here in D.C. or know about Trinidad, you know you got to have your eyes, ears, and everything else open and alert to grow up in Trinidad. So, you know, when you see me coming, I may put a little, people say, Robin come with her ghetto, she's ghetto today. But, you know, as a black sister, we know how to fight, and we know how to sit at the table and negotiate as well. Again, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm Robin Williams, and I'm identified as Vice President of the United Food and Commercial Workers Union. But I'm just a black sister, y'all. I'm just a sister. And again, thank you, my sister Melanie Campbell, my Aquarian sister. Melanie always lead, and Melanie never leave any of us behind. She's always reaching out to us. Always reaching out to us. And I thank you so much for your leadership, Melanie. So I'm from a different world. So, you know, when I was 18 years old, my last year in high school, just got my letter of acceptance to North Carolina Chapel Hill, where I always wanted to go. A day before that, I found out I was pregnant. And my daddy was a preacher, a black preacher. So I had to make a decision. Do I have this baby, or do I go off to college or school that I've always wanted to go to? So I come from a family that worked hard. I decided to work because I didn't want to be on public assistance, and I didn't want my parents to have the burden of raising my son. So I did two things. I went to school, learned how to type. I got a job in the federal government, and then I got a part-time job at Safeway here in Georgetown. But working at Safeway, I learned that people that call folks low-wage workers or people in service jobs are people with much value. And so I want to address first this call of low-wage workers. Nobody is a low-wage worker. We may get stuck in hourly paid jobs, right, SEIU? Y'all know what I'm talking about. But we refuse to be called a low-wage worker. And so working in the industry while working in the federal government, I had to learn some hard lessons of organizing. It was the best thing I've ever done. See, I come from a family of religious folks, but not religious folks that laid down and took anything. My father was a hard-working worker. He drove trucks, but he was a preacher too. And we grew up working hard, but we grew up having dignity and work in anything that we do. And in doing that, I started to organize my workplace, and then organize outside of my workplace. Well, I went on and my union asked me to come out and organize a nursing home where the union reps had gone in and organized all the white nurses, but none of the black sisters would talk to them. Why? Because they didn't look like them. They didn't talk like them. And they didn't have the same issues that a lot of those black women in the healthcare industry face. Issues of being on, the only parent, issues of trying to make ends meet. And so I took off my job. I said, I'll go down in Southern Maryland and start talking to those nurses, black women, but I also talked to the white women. Because there's one thing that women relate to. We all have these issues of raising families, going home, cooking while we're working 8 to 16 hours a day. And so I got into organizing healthcare workers. But not just doing that in Southern Maryland, but also working with the legislators, because it's more than just winning on a job. We have to change policy so that all of us can rise to the top. And so being in this labor movement, I've had an opportunity to organize in the political arena, organize workers, and then organize in the social and racial justice arena, which has been so rewarding. Presently, my union, which I'm so proud of because for many years, I've talked about this in the labor movement. We do a lot of great work, and there are a lot of policies that are in place because of the work of labor. Because of the work of labor, the 8-hour workday, 40-hour work week, health and safety policies, paid family leave, sick leave. Those are because of labor unions. And we don't toot our horn enough. But at the hem of those movements are also black women like Pearl Joyner, Petey Talley, making sure that in a labor agenda, there is messages that resonate in the black community. My sister over here, Becky, in NEA. Black women are all mixed up in labor, in the labor movement. We're not always recognized. And I may have a title, but I'm an organizer, and I will always be an organizer. Always be an organizer. Presently, we're working on criminal justice reform. And this is something I'm so proud of. I've said to the labor movement for many years, all the political work we are doing, what is our agenda on voter suppression? We're not doing enough to stop voter suppression, even to call it out. And it still exists. Latasha, it still exists. But now, in the workplace, including members and workers that my union represent, retail, meat packing, and food processing, are individuals that have come out of the criminal justice system. And many times, even labor leaders don't want to accept who their own members are. I'm grateful that my union, they know who we represent and who we need to organize even more. We're helping those that were in the system to clean their criminal records. We're supporting voter reform legislation like my bad sisters from Florida just got passed. Because many a times we get into positions and get titles and forget what we were called to do. And that's to bring up the least of these. And so, my sisters, I'm just so grateful that God had called me to be in this position. But let me just tell you a little story about last year. We got a call from a news outlet in South Carolina saying that some meat packer workers, they walked off the job because one of the workers heard a supervisor call them roaches. On a walkie-talkie, the supervisor was on a walkie-talkie talking to another manager saying, get these roaches out of the hallway. Now, guess who the roaches were they were referring to? The plant is 87% African-American workers in that plant. And so, of course, the NAACP and other black organizations got involved. I got in touch with one sister down there that was willing to organize and walk those workers out. And when she got cold feet, I called her and said, Harriet. She said, who? I said, Harriet. She said, Miss Robin, you know my name isn't Harriet. I said, Harriet Tubman. Sister, you are Harriet. You can't give cold feet now. Either y'all organize or somebody got to take this bullet. So you got to be Harriet sometimes. That's right. And in my organizing career for 22 years, I have organized many workplaces, and there's always been a black woman, even over the black male, that is willing to take the chance. Take the chance to organize. So, sisters, I say to you today, we can't get cold feet at the time. It may say it's our time to rise and shine, but we always been rising for the occasion. Maybe the light is just put on us right now, but we always been rising, and we will continue to rise. Thank you so very much, sister.
Oh, so can you hear me? Oh, there we go. Okay, so Dr. Cole, we should have dropped the mic after you finished speaking anyway. But now, look at where we are. You know, I'm looking around the room, and right now, Merwin, I'm seeing, I think you're the only one. I'm not sure. There you are. I was getting ready to say, I was going to excuse, beg his forgiveness when I say this, but there is nothing like being in the company of some proud, strong, black woman. Oh, my soul is so full right now. I don't really need to say anything. But I'm from North Philly, so I'm going to say a few things. I first need to join my sisters on this panel in recognizing one phenomenal woman in Miss Melanie Campbell. Give it up for her again. Oh my goodness. She inspires us, she pushes and pulls us, she begs and borrows from us. She is a beacon of light and hope and power. Amazing, amazing woman. So I am Becky Pringle. I have the honor and the privilege of serving as the vice president of the largest labor union in this country, the National Education Association. And I have the proud honor of serving with two other women of color, the only union that has ever had 3 women of color leading them, including ours. And so we are so very, very proud. So Elsa, I'm going to say that when I think of leadership, what comes back to me are the words of the oh my goodness, most powerful contralto to ever grace an opera stage, Mrs. Marian Anderson. And what she said to us was that leadership is the intersection between preparedness and opportunity. That's why you are here this weekend, right? To continue to prepare yourselves to take advantage of opportunities. I grew up in North Philly. I always wanted to be a teacher. From the time I forced my 2 sisters to play school on the front steps of our North Philly home, to the time I told my dad that I was going to go and pursue my dream of becoming a teacher. I'll never forget that day. I was standing in front of a window in my room, and I thought he was going to knock me out the window when I told him. You see, my dad had literally fought a battle for me to be able to major in math and science because they thought as a black woman I couldn't do that. So he had to march himself up to school and tell them not only could I, but that's what was going to happen. And major in math and science I did. So when I told my father that I wanted to become a teacher, you know, the most traditional of careers for a black woman, he was more than a little bit disappointed in me. You see, my father was a teacher himself, and he had already begun to see the decline in the respect for the profession. He already knew that I wasn't going to have, you know, a wealthy life, and I wasn't going to have that respect due the most noblest profession. But a teacher I became, and I can tell you it was one of the proudest moments of my life when my dad saw me elected the secretary-treasurer of the NEA. When I came down off the stage, he grabbed me and he hugged me and he said, "Rebecca," that's what he called me when he was really mad or very serious. He said, "Rebecca, I now see that as a teacher, you have an opportunity in front of you to impact lives beyond what I could ever have imagined. And in this position, I've had the chance to do just that." I was so incredibly proud of the 10,000 delegates to our convention 3 years ago that passed a new business item to take on institutional racism.
All right now.
Our president asked me to lead that work, and now almost 3.5 years later, we have done incredible work across this country to do a few things. First of all, we had to shed light on the reality that our own institution of public education was riddled with practices and policies that continued to fuel the inequities in our system. We have a system that is built on the reality that we can afford it for some students. And for the students that look like me and you, we say we can't. That's not okay. That's not okay. And that as a union, we have a right, we have a responsibility to step up and to call it out within our own union, within our own system, and within the system of public education. Because we know that public education is the foundation of this democracy. We know that it is the great equalizer, and we cannot accept the false choice that we are being given in this day and time. We cannot accept that we are being told that we don't have enough money for our black and brown kids to have AP courses in their schools. We cannot accept that the funding system that is designed to allow, and I need you to hear me, I need you to hear me right now, I need you to hear me, to allow a system of apartheid in this country. Because we know that if our students aren't educated, that when people of color are in the majority in this country, we will not have the power, we will not have that place at the table. That's being done right now, today. We understand that as the largest labor union in this country, we have a responsibility. And we are leaning into that responsibility. And not only that, we know that we must, and as a and I hate to say this into a microphone, but I can tell you that as a black teacher, I didn't always encourage my students to go into teaching. We've got to change that. We know that we need more black teachers in our schools. And we can't just recruit them. We've got to provide the supports they need so they stay in the profession. And so we are building programs all across the country to do just that. And then when they are in those positions, we have got to make sure we train all of our teachers in culturally responsive teaching. We've got to reach all of our students. You know, I talk a lot about the mission of the NEA, which is to advocate for education professionals and to unite not just our members, but the entire nation to fulfill the promise of public education so that not one, not some, but every single child can succeed in a diverse and interdependent world. That is our mission, and that is what I have the honor to lead on for the NEA. Let me leave you with this. Inspired by those young people. Oh, were they amazing? Oh. Sojourner Truth. If women wants rights more than what they's got, why don't they just take them and not be talking about it? Sisters, why don't we just take our right not only to be at the table, but to set the menu? Why don't we just take our right to stand up for our students so they have every opportunity to succeed in this world? Why don't we just take our right not just to vote, but to run for office and win, just like our sister, oh my goodness, Johanna Hayes in Connecticut, the first black woman to win office in Congress, Teacher of the Year. Ha! Why don't we just take our right to stand in our beauty and our strength and our power and to redeem the soul of America?
Wow. what can you say? So Melanie is coming to tell us to come and get off the stage because we had another panel supposed to follow us. But you see why these ladies were chosen to speak on leadership. People are saying this is our year, and this is our year. I think we are saying that because we are getting the national focus on black women. I remember in 2008, Dr. Haidt telling us that we had voted in the greatest numbers of any demographic or group, but you didn't see it on the national headlines. In 2012, we did it again. We really didn't see it on the national headlines. Now everybody wants to come out and talk to the black woman. And it's because of women like this and women throughout the country, women like you in this audience today, that we are rising and we are shining, and we are not going to go back to the back of the bus. Thank you. Thank our panel. And we'll bring on the next panel. We're sorry we took up too much time.
Can we give our moderator extraordinaire, Dr. Scott, and all of our panelists, all of our sister power leaders extraordinaire. I could have just sat here and kept listening. I could have kept listening. So thank you all so very much. And we got work to do, and y'all gave us, in the midst of all you said, you also gave us our marching orders. And we thank you, love you, and let's keep leading, rising, and shining. And you all can stand up. Our photographer here. No. Oh. So why don't everybody stand up for a second, stretch. Just stretch. Just stretch. Ask your sister next to you, how you doing? It's a marathon, not a sprint. So do like that. Well, I have a dress I can't do like we did last night. Kick that leg up. So thank you all again. Thank the panel one more time for me, please. We're going to adjust the schedule. We're going to adjust the schedule so the workshops would have been starting now. We'll start at 2:40, 2:50. No, what time is it? My watch is all messed up. Okay, 3 o'clock. Okay, so we can make sure we are not going to take time away from our girls, are we not? We're not going to take time away from our last roundtable of sister leaders, are we not? Okay, thank you. So we're going to turn it over to our BWR, Black Girl Power Leadership Team, and I'm going to have Kamara Hudson, who served as one of our lead facilitators for the girls' track. In her day job, she is Associate Policy Fellow, Connecticut Voices for Children, and member of the Black You Vote Alumni Group. Acacia Newsom, who's our Black Women's Roundtable intern, and Dakota Ledman, Black Women's Roundtable Project consultant, and I think y'all had one more team member, but I forgot who it was. Asha, who was it? Asha Boston from the dinner table. I got dinner documentary. I don't know where I got that from. So dinner and Marion Harriel from my home state of Florida. Turn it over to you all. You got it.
Thank you, Melanie. Yeah. Can we get a round of applause for the girls before we bring them up? All right. Hello. Like I said, my name is, like Melanie said, my name is Kamara Stokes-Hudson. I was co-facilitating the girls' track with all of the wonderful women who are up here with me. I'm going to let Acacia introduce the young woman who came up with the project we're about to present. And yeah, it's just absolutely wonderful. I have nothing else to say. I'll hand it over to Acacia.
So this is Lazaria. She came up with this wonderful idea. I think every single group is very hyped, so we need you all to match their energy. They are very excited about this, and they're very passionate about it. So I'm going to hand it over to her.
Hello, I'm Lazaria. I'm a part of the girls track. So today we broke up into 3 different groups, and we discussed our career paths, and we came up with businesses and organizations, and they're here, and they're sponsoring our organizations. And basically, they're different facilities that we can implement into our communities to help better their lives.
All right, so without any further delay, we are going to call up the first group of young women. Please give them a round of applause.
Can we have another round of applause for these young ladies? They worked on these projects. Thank you, guys. Yes, please. They're excited to present these to you, so let's give it up for them. Yes, one more round of applause as they make their way up front. They have some really good business proposals. Yes.
Hello, everyone. My name is Avery McCorkle. I'm here with my group. I'm here with my group, and I'm representing MELT Minority Services. Our mission statement is to provide affordable, accessible, and adequate transportation, medical, and legal services to intersectional minority groups.
So the M in MELT stands for medical services, and under medical services, we will be providing CPR and AED training, because when someone has a heart attack, there's a slight chance that they will be able to recover, and it doubles or even triples their expectancy to recover when a bystander knows CPR. We also have affordable psychological treatment for immigrants and other at-risk groups, along with physical therapy for disabled people, because those are both services that are often not available to those people because of financial reasons and other reasons also. We also have insurance for those who are not eligible, so we kind of educate them about the different options and help them find an option that's best for them as an individual. And we have affordable housing for the homeless, which is in fact a medical issue as well as a social issue.
I'm the E in MELT. We are educational service. We will provide psychologically and ACD plus CPR training. And also we will provide diverse teachers, diversity meaning teachers that will fulfill all the background, as in disability kids, kids that's mentally challenged, and you know, yeah, and also we will provide GED classes and ESOL training. Okay, so I am the L in MELT. We have legal services. We will provide pro bono law services for victims of domestic violence, human trafficking, immigrants. Then we will do private investigations, basically in cases that are being swept under the rug, sometimes not fully addressed. So we will touch on those too. And we will do policies, fighting harmful policies on Capitol Hill.
All right, hey, how y'all doing today? I am the T for the MELT. The T stands for transportation. The transportation will provide services for medical reasons. If you need to go to any medical facility, we will provide transportation to that. Affordable tickets for the less fortunate minorities, meaning if you need to fly overseas somewhere for family reasons or for any reason at all, we will provide homes and shelters for domestic violence survivors. And we will also provide transportation to the different clinical trials.
And the programs that we have for the minority service is the migrant services, which is for immigration. We have Survivors Network for people who suffer from trauma or domestic violence, and the youth education system for the youth to educate on medical services, policies, and academics.
Okay, and something I forgot earlier is the way I would want this program to work is that we employ minorities fresh out of college. Okay, so everybody introduce themselves. We doing introductions now? Oh, okay. We gotta go.
Well, I said my name. My name is Avery McCorkle. Oh, I'm from Maryland.
I'm Casey. I'm also from Maryland.
I'm Tiana Stinson. I'm from Florida.
I'm Lenoria Beasley, and I'm from Florida.
I am Amani Moore, and I'm from Florida.
I am Kennedy Moore, and I'm also from Florida.
My name is Taylor Palmer. I'm from Mississippi.
I'm Makaya, and I'm from Atlanta.
Concludes our presentation.
Thank you. Can I get a round of applause for MELT Minority Services and call up the second group? Let's welcome the second group. You can use that one if it works. There are 2 mics.
Well, I'm Shania. I'm from Alabama, and I want to be a social worker.
I'm Janaya. I'm from Florida, and I want to be a nurse.
I'm Indeja. I'm from Florida, and I want to be a doctor.
I'm Tamia. I'm from Florida. I want to be a nurse. I'm Amari. I'm from Florida, and I want to be a pediatrician.
I'm Lazaria. I'm from Florida, and I will be an administrator.
I'm Kanaya. I'm from Florida, and I want to be a nurse.
I'm Rakisha. I'm from Florida, and I am a child caregiver.
I'm from Florida. I'm Rakia, and I will be a child psychologist.
My name is Tamari. I'm from Florida, and I am a future educator.
My name is Kalia, and I'm from Florida, and I will be a child psychologist.
I'm Tiana. I'm from Florida, and I will be an OBGYN.
And last but not least, my name is Deliani Cross, and I will be a physical therapist.
Well, we came up with the organization Loving Hands because we were very inspired by our movie last night. She was sent to a facility that gave her medicine. It was supposed to help, so we kind of
flipped it because they didn't show her no type of love, no care, no nothing that she really needed. So we flipped it, and our mission statement is to serve and give awareness to children in distress by providing a safe space to enjoy.
We built a gated community that services children in need. Our services include checkups, physical training, extended staying, teaching, a spa, a cafe, counseling, and a tech center.
We assist special needs, medical needs, children in poverty, and autistic children. We work hand in hand with local foster cares to give children a break from their normal environments.
We encourage the children to engage and step out of their comfort zone in order to have a better social life.
We are located in Tallahassee at the border of Florida and Georgia.
We will offer internships for students of Florida A&M University.
Okay, we have a payment plan for the parents. You would have to pay $104 per week or $208 biweekly, which is also $460 per month. And overall, you'll end up paying $5,000 per year. We also have visitation hours. They're from 7 a.m. through 7 p.m. daily. If you want to see your children during school hours, you will have to look through a one-way board to not disrupt the learning environment.
We are looking for sponsors to support a great cause from Walgreens, CVS, Publix, Verizon, Coca-Cola, AT&T, Wells Fargo, and even things big as Apple. Don't hesitate to call 1-800-588-5683. Oh, we also have a song to present.
We gotta help the children win. We want to keep our children off the street. Oh. Loving hands and we all love easy. We motivate the kids to keep them busy. Parents and children, I know that they need me. They gotta open up and express themselves freely. You don't understand that this ain't easy. Loving hands is the place that you should be.
I got a whole lot of money. Y'all it for me. Bottle key popping that water man. Jacking. It's a party, it's a party, it's a party. It's a party, it's a party, it's a party. My hood up on the throne. Roll up that line, I'm trying to get.
Hello, everybody. How y'all doing? That's good. That's good. All right. My name is Najee, and we are the National Creative Entrepreneurship Association. Thank you.
Wait, we gotta do that again. I'm sorry.
We gotta do that one more time. I'm so sorry. That was real weak. We gotta get this together, y'all, for real.
Go ahead, Najee.
Hi, everybody. How y'all doing again? My name is Najee, and we are the National Creative
Entrepreneurship Association.
I'm a business owner.
I'm a clothing designer.
I'm an artist.
I'm a makeup artist.
I am an animal rescuer.
I will be a producer.
I'm a photographer and videographer.
I'm an author, and we are
Creatives.
So
All right. NCEA slogan is, it's a nonprofit based in DC, and our slogan is
Color shouldn't matter.
We bring power to people through young creatives.
Our mission statement is, as young Black adults, we started focusing on problems in our local communities to bring light to social issues through the arts.
We want to bring power to all youth by encouraging the creative arts in our local communities, especially impoverished and low-income communities.
We'll offer self-care, wellness services through the art, including photography workshops, art classes, design classes, makeup sessions, and music therapies.
By placing the arts at the forefront of more impoverished communities, it will allow for a higher success rate and betterment of young people.
A percentage of the proceeds will go towards my animal hospital and other animal shelters to help them get medication and necessary needs for them.
So as the organization's writer, I am in charge of getting our publicity out via print.
And I help to get out the publicity through photography and different videos.
I educate through film and music to help, spread news about our organization.
My contribution is to help women feel beautiful within themselves while still repping NCEA.
What I'm supposed to do is, I'm supposed to make this sign, and I'm supposed to let people know what we're about.
Y'all see that? She drew that. That's good. That's my sister. That's my sister. She good.
My job is to put women in clothing to make them feel confident and make them feel beautiful.
My job is to be the president and run this business the proper way.
Go ahead, Najee. Go ahead.
All right. I'm from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And us as a group, individually want to represent each of our states and where we're from. I'm not going to pass the mic because I'm not sure what we can do and what everybody going to say. But what we giving to y'all is we basically creating shirts, creating clothes to get the word out as young kids. We got the photographers, we got the models, we got the artists, we got the person to create the clothes, we even got the makeup person to get you right, you know what I mean? And then we got the animal person, you know, to say the little animals, the little dogs walk around the streets, they need a little home to go to, you know.
So we all do this because creativity is not expanded enough in our school systems. And so we want our voices to be heard through our entrepreneurship and our own businesses. So all of us, our leaders, we rise and shine as sisters.
We do what? We lead, we rise, and we what?
Shine.
We shine.
As sisters.
Sisters. Wait,
NCEA.
Can we give our sisters, our girl power team, rock that thing? That was not an exercise just to do an exercise. We are really working hard to make sure that our young sisters can take these ideas and these dreams, make them a reality. Hopefully soon I can make an announcement that that could happen. And we want to get information. A lot of our young sisters, and again, waive all of the Folks, these are your babies, just wave your hand. Wave your hand. Right? It should be everybody's hand. Everybody's hand in here. Not just who brought them. These are our babies. So thank you all one more time. We are going to move to have a little infomercial. And then we're bringing up our last but certainly not least panel on Black women in business, technology, and social innovation. But because we know some of you all have to leave, there was no way I wasn't going to get another shot at surprising somebody who surprised me. Because she is my sister. She's my ride or die, not just in this work, but I can call her, up on her sometimes. We can talk, we work together, but we can cry together. We can cuss each other out together, cuss other people out. Well, I'm still praying, preachers. I was not born. I ain't got that bug. That's Judy. But I wanted to say thank you to Tanya Tyson on a serious note. While we all together. Again, I'm shy, right? But I like to take this time and tell Melanie, thank you for all you do, for everyone's here. And as I said the other night, it may be plenty of tireless nights, but it's worth it. We get mad, we fuss, but we know we got to get this work done. And to see all you women in here, we know it's more to be done. And as Stephanie said, it's time, and this is our time to lead, rise, and shine. And thanks again for everything. And so the last roundtable, Lisa Fager, I think she went out. I'm going to serve as the moderator for this next panel. Moderator was unable to make it, but she was here last night. Who saw the movie last night? The documentary, not movie, documentary last night. Michelle Dubois, who's a mother of two, for you mothers out there. So we know if she could have been here, because she's came through Black Women's Roundtable, I'm sure she would have been here. So we're going to lift her up knowing there's a reason she's not here. But we have our panel to come up, and that's Kim Keenan, Executive Vice President, Marketing and Research, and General Counsel, Odyssey Media. And Kim and I, and she was the president of MMTC. The other thing, when I met Kim, she was the General Counsel for the NAACP National Office, and I believe is one of the longest serving. I'm going to double check, but I think she's the first woman, but maybe not, but definitely the longest serving. So can you give Kim a show of love? Our sister, Wakenia Clanton, Mississippi in the house, who I met through Dr. Elsie Scott, who mentored her. She's also my Sarah with Delta Sigma Theta sorority. She's the founder, Power of the Pump, Women's Empowerment Network. Can we give Wakenia some love? Damara Gardner, LPC, CAC, founder, Black Women About Business. Is she here? Is she here? Is that you? Okay, good. All right, can we give our sister some love coming up? I'm going to lift up Jackie Hood Martin, who was going to be here, but had something she could not get out of, but we're going to lift her up. She's an awesome woman in business, and also a good, strong sister when it comes to life coaching from a Christian perspective. And lastly, but certainly not least, Tamika Ramsey, convener of the Metro Detroit Black Women's Roundtable, owner, T. Ramsey and Associates. She's not last, because Sheila Tyson still in here? Or did she leave? I know they had to leave today. Did Sheila leave? Okay, because she was going to be on the panel tonight, but we just lift up Sheila. Alabama still in the house, I think. Is anybody Alabama still here? So just know, we know that Sheila would have been here. So we're going to take about 15 minutes. Is that okay, ladies? Because I know everybody's schedules are busy. And so I'm just going to ask you to share a little bit, because all of y'all come to this from, because I know, at least I know 3 of you well, and I'm going to get to know you well. And so I know from your perspectives, one of the things we do know when it comes to this era that we're in, that people want to call the digital economy. Where's Jocelyn Tate? Were you on this panel? Okay, I knew it was somebody missing. Okay, yes. I'm so sorry, Jocelyn Tate. I don't know what happened. So Jocelyn Tate, and she's not on the paper, so I don't know what happened. So Jocelyn Tate is, for the Black Women's Roundtable, is our senior policy advisor on all things tech policy, but also the practical side of using it for the digital economy. You have your own business called Tate Strategies. Oh, that's easy enough, right? Tate Strategies. She's a Memphis, Tennessee sister, but she lives here in the nation's capital, so Tennessee, born and bred. If you're not working, you're in Tennessee. So I know where to find her. So, but ladies, give us some perspective. Our young people here, and this thing here, right, is powerful, social media. But it's also can be an equalizer or a divider, and to get straight to it. So I want to first start off about what you see, what you're doing in your work to address, or have done in your work, and even more probably still find a way to do it in your work to bridge that divide when it comes to the economic opportunities, as well as the educational opportunities or lack thereof when it comes to technology and technology policy. We'll start with the policy question first, and then we'll go a little further.
So I want you guys to imagine a movie. And in the movies, what you find is usually there's like a dark planet, right? And on the dark planet, I don't care whether it's Star Wars or Star Trek or whatever star you want, or even Wakanda, okay? When you want to leave people behind and you want to leave them out, they're on the dark planet. Have you noticed that on Star Trek, whenever they want to get rid of somebody, they send them to a planet that has no technology? There's always darkness, and nobody can communicate, right? No phasers to bring you back and beam you back up. Well, we laugh about that, but it's true. And the fact of the matter is we are living in a time where if we leave people behind, we are dooming them to the dark planet. And what that means is no opportunity, no education, no businesses, right? Because everybody's doing everything digitally. And so certainly in my career, it's like it keeps coming up. It doesn't matter what I do. Like I'm general counsel at NAACP, and we have to digitize our collection. While I was there, we digitized this. The largest collection at the Library of Congress belongs to the NAACP. I know a lot of y'all are members, and that means a lot to you. We digitized it, and so now kids in libraries all over the world can look at what you all did to create a world that's more equal and more free. And so that tells you just how powerful this tool is, but we have to be a part of that process. We have to be a part of that process because whether it's privacy law, I work a lot on that now, you sign up for something and now all of a sudden you're getting payday lending ads. You're being, I don't want to say predated on, so it's like the predators are coming for you. So we have to be thoughtful about this. We have to be listening. Every time there's a data breach, a lot of these companies are the companies that we're supporting. When they get on TV and say, we had 5 million data breaches, it's all stuff that we use, okay? And it's our stuff, and it's our identities. And so we need to speak up about this. There should be a federal privacy law that protects you. And it protects you not just because we want to make sure you have some personal privacy, but also because it impacts your ability to get things. The young lady is selling those wonderful T-shirts out there, and I'm so excited about them because I wanted to wear the shirt, and you could just pretend like I'm wearing it, that says, I'm educated and I paid for it, right? My parents didn't have the kind of money to buy my way into a university, okay? So when you see me in a room, I paid every dime it cost to have the education that I tell you I have, and I earned it every day because every time they saw my little brown face, they weren't sure I should be there. And so what I'm saying to you all about this policy is we have to make sure that our messages are there, that our voices are there, that our children are coming through this digital age on the right side of it, and we all have to be focused on the fact that whether it's education or jobs or any part of our future, it's all linked into technology nowadays, and we have to be on top of that.
Thank you, Can we give our sister some love?
Good afternoon, everyone, and a huge thank you to my sister leader and friend, big sister of everything, Melanie Campbell, who definitely with of everything. She and Dr. Scott have been the two constant figures of my life in